Alrighty, so the last day of this first part of Unit 1 before we take our test is about parallel and perpendicular lines. So you may remember this from Algebra 1, but if you don't, that's okay, I'll remind you. So just a recap, so parallel lines, oops, those aren't very parallel. Pretend those are parallel. Okay, so what do you know about those? So they are never going to intersect, right? And they have, this is the big point for this class, is the same slope. Okay? So parallel lines always have the same slope. Perpendicular lines, if you don't remember what the word perpendicular means from geometry, that means, let's see if I can draw it. So that means they cross at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so it could look like this. Let's see if I can draw a diagonal one. Something, let's pretend those are. So, and they always give you that little box to tell you that they are perpendicular. So these, let's say they intersect at a 90-degree angle, always. And then their slopes, this is the big part, these are kind of a pain. So the slope are opposite and reciprocal. Okay, so opposite and reciprocals. For example, let me just give you an example because I know sometimes people struggle with that. So say the slope is 2 for one line. The opposite reciprocal slope, which you may remember the word reciprocal, it's when you flip it upside down, it's like a fraction, flip it upside down. So the reciprocal part would be 1/2, and the opposite part is, if it's positive, it'll be negative. If it's negative, it turns positive. So in this case, it would be -1/2. Okay, let's do another example just to kind of help you wrap your brain around it. Let's say my slope was -3/4. The perpendicular slope, the opposite, would be positive. Reciprocal would be 4/3. Okay, so that's how you do it. You just flip it upside down and do the opposite. Alrighty. Oh, I didn't realize I have a graph right there. That's okay. All right. So write the parallel and perpendicular slope of a line compared to the given line. So they give you the line. All right, let's talk about this slope. The slope in the line they give you is 1/2, right? Because it's the number in front of the x, because this is in slope-intercept form, which is great. So parallel, that would be the same slope, right? Perpendicular, 1/2. You do the opposite, which is negative, and you could say 2/1, or you could just say -2, right? It's the same thing. Oh, look, you can tell I just made up those other ones. You can tell where my brain always thinks. Okay, that's okay. So this slope on this line is -3/4, right? Okay, so the parallel slope would be the same, so -3/4. And the perpendicular slope would be +4/3. Is that the exact same example I give up here? Yes, it is. Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Okay, let's do another one. All right, this time this is not in slope-intercept form, so let's convert to slope-intercept first, because we got to figure out what the slope is, right? So whenever we do this, we would need to add 3x to both sides. So then I have y equals 3x plus 2. Okay, now it's there. We know the slope of it. So the slope of this line is 3, right? So the parallel slope would also be 3. The perpendicular slope would be -1/3, right? Because you flip it to its reciprocal and do the negative. Okay, same thing with this one. We need to get it in slope-intercept form, so I'm going to add 1/3 x to both sides. So I have, let's just write it over here, y equals positive 1/3 x plus 7. Therefore, that slope is 1/3. So the parallel slope would also be 1/3. Perpendicular slope would be -3/1 or just -3. It doesn't matter which one. Okay, so here we go. Write the slope of the line, or write the slope-intercept form of the equation of the line described. Okay, so whenever we do this, we're going to need to know or remember what point slope is. So, and there are a few different ways to teach this. But my favorite way is to use point slope, which if you don't remember, write it down. So it is y minus y1 equals m parentheses x minus x1 parentheses. Okay, so we need the slope that is parallel to this other line. So that means my slope is going to be 4, right? Okay, so now we're ready to just plug it into slope or point slope formula. So this is x1, this is y1. So I would have y minus my y1, which is 3, equals my slope, which is 4, parentheses, x minus my x1, which is -2, close parentheses. So now they want it in slope-intercept form, which is what it said up there, so we need to do some moving around. So first, let's make this plus positive, right? Okay, so now I have x plus 2 in the parentheses. So now we need to distribute, remember to get rid of the parentheses. So I have 4 times x would be 4x. 4 times positive 2 would be positive 8. Bring the other stuff down that's on the left side. Okay, now last step we need to do is to get that y by itself. So let's subtract 3 from both sides. So y equals 4x, and then positive 8 minus 3 would be positive 5. Okay, so it's in slope-intercept form. We are finished. Let's do another one. So we want it to go through that point, and then it's going to be perpendicular to this line. So what would our new slope be for our new line? Well, it would be the opposite, so it's going to be negative. Reciprocal, 1/2 flipped upside down is 2, right? So the new slope is going to be -2. All right, let's label this x1, y1, and then plug it on in. So I'm going to have y minus 7 equals my slope, -2, parentheses, x minus 0. Man, I love it when one of the points is 0. Okay, so x minus 0 is just x, right? So now let's distribute to get rid of that. So we have y minus 7 equals -2 times x is -2x. Let's add 7 to both sides. So y equals -2x plus 7. Perfect. Alrighty, next one. So it's going to be parallel to that line. So the slope is going to be the same. So -3/4. Ooh, I gave you a fraction. Okay, it's going to be fine. All right, so we're going to label these x1, y1. Let's plug it in. Y minus 3 equals -3/4. Parentheses, x minus -4. Minus negative becomes plus positive. Go ahead and distribute those. So I have -3/4 x. Okay, if you are not great at fractions, use a calculator. Okay, but I'm just gonna work it out over here on the side. So -3/4 times positive 4. You can put over 1 if you want. So that and that cancels, right? So you just have -3. Again, if you're not great at fractions, just use a calculator. I don't care. Okay, now let's bring everything else down. Get the y by itself, so we need to add 3 to both sides. Those cancel. Those cancel. Oh, look at that. So we just have y equals negative 3/4 x is our answer. Kind of a weird problem, but that's okay. Still works. Okay, last one. So we need to convert this one to slope-intercept form because the y is not by itself. So no big deal, we can do that. So let's add, since that's a negative 1/3 x, let's add 1/3 x to both sides. So that gives me y equals positive 1/3 x plus 7. All right, so we can see that the slope to that line is 1/3, but now we need the perpendicular slope. So our new slope is going to be negative 3/1 or just negative 3. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and label these points, x1, y1. Let's plug all this in. So I have y minus negative 3 equals negative 3 parentheses x minus negative 2. Okay, minus negatives plus positive. Let's get that out of the way. Okay, so now we need to get rid of the parentheses. Let's distribute. So I have negative 3x, negative 3 times positive 2, remember it's positive 2 now, gives you negative 6. And then bring all of this stuff down on the left. Let's subtract 3. So I have y equals negative 3x minus 9. Okay, and that's your answer. All right, I believe that's it for notes. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.